Hey everyone, this is Laura Williamson from Bear Fitness, and I have today with me Sheri Rowson, and we are going to be talking about being a mom during this pandemic, which is a difficult time for many, many people. So we want to talk about some of those difficulties, and maybe we can come up with some solutions to help her and help you today. So just to remind you who I am again, I'm calling, or I'm not calling, I'm call with Sheri Rowson. My studio is located in Stoneham, and I teach Pilates, I do personal training and health coaching, and I've been posting videos for you guys now since all this has happened. So hi everyone, welcome. We're happy to have you. And Sheri, thank you for being with us today. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Laura.
It's great to have you today. I have all kinds of questions for you, but just start, just go. Let's just see what we got going on.
Yeah, it's a crazy time that we're living in, the pandemic. There are so many things that have transpired over the past few months. And, I think that as Americans, as human beings, so much good has been shown towards humanity over these last few months. We've seen people helping one another, feeding each other, checking on the elderly and the vulnerable, doing very kind things for our first responders and our essential workers. And I think that the good of humanity in the midst of a crisis always comes forth. And then we're hit with things that happen that unfortunately really show just how far we still have to go. As a race. And when I say as a race, I mean as a human race. So I do want to take a moment just to recognize the life of George Floyd, I believe his name is, who is the gentleman who was recently murdered on the sidewalk, on the middle of the street rather, by a police officer. And so my prayer and my dream, my hope is that we get to the point where suspects are not being tried, convicted, and executed on the streets, that they would have a fair chance to justice. The crime in which this man was accused of holds about maximum of 1 year in prison. So it is not a death penalty. So just as a mom, as an African-American mother of men and a wife of a Black man, and just as a human being, I think it is worth us just really self-evaluating us as a race of human beings. So.
Well, thank you for bringing that up today. I appreciate it. I know that weighs heavily on many of us. And I think going forward, under these types of circumstances, when you have a pandemic or anything of this sort, I feel like it can bring out the absolute best in people, but it can also bring out the worst in people. But what I do have faith in is in humanity. And I think we have seen, and I know you have, and including myself, I know that we're trying to do a lot of good for the people who need it. So just sending that out, just send our thoughts and prayers out to the family and to his loved ones to get through this going forward. But thank you for bringing that to light, Sheri. We do appreciate it. And so now, moving on, not to say that this isn't important, we'll talk about some other things, because in the same vein of trying to help people, we want to talk about what it's like to be at home and be a mom and try to take care of others and take care of yourself. I wanted to highlight that because I know in working with my clients, I've seen the dips, if you will, the challenges and the difficulties. And I wanted to talk about that. I mean, I kind of see the feeds on Facebook and here and there. I think we really need to have a conversation about that. So let's start from the beginning. Now, what do you do, Sheri? What's your profession?
Yeah, so I work in human resources. I'm a senior talent acquisition specialist for a global humanitarian organization, a nonprofit. And I am responsible for recruitment and retention and talent acquisition for literally people domestically and abroad.
Okay, right. And so are you working from home now since all this has started? I mean, what is the status
Yeah.
of your work right now? How is that working for you?
So our entire organization has gone to a remote work, mandatory remote work style. So I am working from home. I did partial telecommuting like 1 or 2 days a week before, but now I'm full-time remote.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Now, how long have you been at home, and who's home with you right now? Is everybody at home? And when I say everybody, I'll let you explain whatever
yeah,
this may be.
yeah. Everybody's home. Everybody's home. We've been home. The kids have been home since March 15th, I believe, mid-March. Actually, our office is closed a couple days before the schools closed because we kind of felt that it was coming. And, being a global organization, we definitely have the capacity to be able to do our jobs from anywhere in the world. So it wasn't a huge transition in terms of work for me. But right now, I have 3 children. I have a 7th grader, a 10th grader, and a part-time college student who also has a part-time job. And my husband is also home. So all of us are here together. So logistically, it's been interesting.
So, but wait a minute, you missed a couple of members of the family.
Say it again.
You missed a couple of members. I know that there's
Yes, I also,
okay.
yep, also have a very sweet American bulldog. His name is Titan, and a little kitty. Her name is Nala. So there are in total 7 creatures in the house.
All right. So my feeling is that you are never bored if I'm guessing at this.
No, 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 no. We had to find out. We definitely had to find our groove, though. You know, Laura, you've been to my home. You understand the logistical setup, right?
Yes,
So I lost my home office about 15 years ago when my son was born. So I don't really have like a physical office space. So most days I'm either, in my living room working or here at my kitchen table. And now the kids are doing remote learning as well. So I had to like figure out how to make this all work because my 2 girls share a room. So, I had to make the investment in headsets and things that would allow us to be able to work and learn without being a distraction to each other.
So can you give us start at the beginning of the day? How does that work? What's the schedule? What's the routine?
Yeah, typically I'm the first one up. I tend to be historically an early riser, so I'm usually up and working, and then the kids are up and online around 8:39. So I'm usually up around 7:30, just a few minutes before them, so I can get myself together and have my coffee and breakfast and everything before the hustle and bustle. And my oldest daughter, she still works part time at a hospital, so that's been
Oh,
um, kind of crazy too because we were concerned, about not just her safety but all of our safety. So, she's kind of reduced her hours quite a bit. But yeah, so from the morning, we all get up, we get our day going, we get moving, and we've kind of fallen into a good routine. It was kind of challenging initially, just in terms of location and I'm easily distracted, so the noise would kind of be a distraction to me. But I think the headsets have helped, and everyone having a designated location in the house is definitely helpful.
so let me ask you this. How has your routine changed in the midst of all of this? What's different for you?
So I noticed, so my typical work schedule before the pandemic was about 8 to 4:30 every day. And so what I noticed though is my days have kind of gotten a little bit longer. So I noticed initially I would get up and I would be online by 7 or earlier in some cases because like I said, I work for a global organization. So sometimes you have to be flexible, depending on where other people live and their availability. But for me, I have had to make a very conscious effort to unplug.
Mhm.
And yeah, so my routine is very different because, my commute has gone from me, a 45-minute commute into downtown, where I'm, going to the subway and I'm getting on the train and I'm walking a few blocks, or either if I'm driving, I'm still, to literally my commute being all of 6 seconds. So from a routine standpoint, it has definitely changed. It is definitely different.
So that being said, I'm hearing the pros and cons of both. I'm hearing I'm at home, it's easier, it's quicker to get from point A to point B, but by the same token, I'm working more hours. Does that sound right?
Oh yeah. And it wasn't. I didn't even notice it at first, Laura, to be honest with you. And then I just started, feeling like I'm really tired. like I'm just, I was really tired, and I didn't know. I thought it was because we were eating more, or the kids. I think those first few weeks at home, it initially felt like an extended spring break or something. So we were more prone to, cook pancakes and full breakfast meals that we wouldn't normally do. So at first I thought it was that, and then I just started thinking about it, and I was like, I've been online since 7 a.m. It's 5 o'clock. I'm still here, so just really making an effort. And I've done a better job in the past few weeks, especially given the work that I do and things changing in terms of shifting priorities in terms of recruitment and hiring. The need is different at this point. So I've just really had to be aware of my timing and unplugging, even on the weekends.
So I've noticed in your giving me the rundown, I noticed that you mentioned eating more. So tell me, how's that all working out? Are we still doing full breakfast? Like, tell us how that's been working.
We are not still doing full breakfast, Laura. We had to cut that all the way down. That was out of control. We were all really, really out of control. And I'm not even a breakfast person. And that's the other thing, Laura. I don't eat breakfast. So at work, like when I'm going to the office, my breakfast is literally a cup of coffee.
Uh-huh.
And then I eat lunch. And I don't know if that's good or bad. You'll tell me offline if, I know you'll get me together.
I can lead you to the water. I can't make you drink.
I know. I know.
I can do my best.
I know. So at any rate, I wasn't eating breakfast typically because that's just, I wasn't hungry. Like I would drink my coffee and I would feel satisfied. But what I noticed was at home, because we had stocked up on all this food, right? Because the mania said, you're not going to be able to leave your house. It's a shutdown.
You must have.
You need 1,800 rolls of toilet paper, and we had like stocked up on all this good food. I think it was from, just a comfort standpoint. And so I found myself buying bagels and, all things that I don't even normally eat. But then I feeling like, well, I bought it, so I'm going to go ahead and eat it, right? So I found that I was eating heavier breakfasts, and my lunch was different. So my lunch would now consist of dinner in the middle of the day, because I would be eating the leftovers from the night before. Okay. Whereas before, when I was going to the office, I would literally eat a salad pretty much every day. Mm-hmm. A salad with some tuna or salmon or whatever on top. So it wasn't until, and the other side is because I'm not getting dressed, I'm wearing, and thank you for this opportunity to put on a real shirt today, Laura. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My husband calls my uniform, that are elastic and stretchy, right? So it's not until you step on that scale that you're like, oh, I've grown.
Okay. So since we're talking about scales, dare I ask, you don't have to give us an exact number, but an area, neighborhood of what that number is right now, if there's been expansion?
There has been expansion. There has been the wrong type of growth, I am sorry to say. I've grown about between 5 to 8 pounds.
Okay.
Closer to 8.
Mm-hmm. So if you
depending on which day of the week,
if you really think about how many weeks we've been kind of in quarantine, it's about a pound a week.
It is about a pound a week.
Give or take, if you really think about it, based on when you tell me you guys were all home and
mm-hmm.
So if you really think about it, so now let's really dig in a little bit here. So now I sent you a plan, a workout.
Are we going to talk about that?
We're going to talk about this just a little bit. We're going to put that out there.
All right, let's talk. I'm ready. Come on.
I sent a plan, and I think the last conversation I had with you is Scott and I are going to do it together. I'm bringing Scott with you, by the way. I'm putting the whole family together right now. So,
we're a unit. It's good. We can take it.
Okay, so
Rowson, if you're out there, weigh in.
I sent a plan. I put it on an app so that I could see it and you could see me and we could do the whole thing and share information and best laid plans or intentions, right? So
yeah.
What happened? What happened there?
Yeah. So I don't have a really good answer.
You don't? Okay.
So my answer is that I have just simply fallen into an awful routine of bad habits, Laura.
Okay.
And it's so crazy because the accountability piece makes you do one of two things. It either brings the sense of accountability, meaning the sense of I need to be able to give an answer, or I don't want Laura to log on and see that I've done absolutely nothing, or it's like run and hide.
Well, there's no running and hiding right now.
That's true.
And I have to admit, you were brave enough to do this with me today because we talked about it. We knew that this was coming.
Yeah.
The goal is not to judge here. The goal is because, for me, sitting on this side from the trainer's side, right? Yeah. I'm experiencing this now with my own clients, people who've been on the regular schedule for quite some time, and they're having a hard time. And I actually was talking about this earlier today. And I think from my perspective, what I'm noticing is there are a few things going on. I don't think everyone realized it was going to be what it is now, right? So everyone had a routine that they're used to doing to, and I believe this part. That's the first thing. I believe the second thing is that, and I think similar to your situation, like, maybe this is an extended vacation. I'll take some time for myself. And, and then you look up and you're like, oh, okay, this is like a month now. This is 2 months now. Or, so my extremes I'm finding are people who are working out and they're not quite getting the results they want, or they used to work out and they're not motivated, or they're just not working out at all for whatever reasons, right? Yeah. And so, and the last group of people are the people who are just like, you know what, I'm going to use this as a reset, and I'm going to wipe the slate clean and start all over again. So the question is, in all that, where do your situation lie, right? So my goal here again is not to judge, just to figure out ways that I can help the general population who want to do more and do better, but they're just having a difficult time. So what I will say is, again, and based on the conversations I've had with other clients and friends and people in general, I find what helps is having a routine, creating another routine, a routine that's pandemic and COVID-19 related. Had a routine. We all had routines before this, but now we have to change it. So I think one of the things to consider is, what's my routine when I get up in the morning? And I know one thing that helps, told to me by a client, is she gets up and takes a shower and gets dressed every day.
Yeah.
She makes sure she does that. She's like, I don't just put my clothes on and walk away. But even if you do that, change your clothes. Give you know what I mean? Because like you said, then suddenly you have a uniform. I have a uniform too, but that's also because most of my clothing is black for what I do. So, even though it's a little different in my situation, right? But I think starting there, I can't help someone be motivated because working out essentially comes from here.
Yeah.
It's good for them. They know they want to do it, and but you have to decide at some point. The switch has to be flipped as to when you're going to actually execute. And so I'm always here to make myself available, but I think that's a good start. You don't be so hard on yourself. B, just realize that everyone's calling it a new normal. but I wouldn't even call it. I would just say, just give yourself a new routine until you can get back to some type of normalcy, whatever that means for you. And everyone is different. I would start there and then go from there and do what you can do.
Hmm. No, I think that's great, and I think too, just the concerted collaboration of the family, I think would help. Because honestly, if one person says, let's go take a walk, literally there's no protest. Or, you know, if I put it on the schedules or the calendars for the family. So I think for me, I can't speak for others, but I think I am the kind of person where honestly, peer pressure, I don't know if it's peer pressure or family pressure or not even pressure, but influence or whatever, helps me. And so, yeah, so I think we just need to regroup as a family, um, and come together. I mean, we've had to adjust in so many ways, not just for me. Work, my husband is a pastor, and we've had to adjust in how we even do church. So I think how we do life overall is different. It's really different, and so I don't have any excuses. You are 1,000% right. So our next conversation is going to be different.
Yeah. But I mean, and again, looking at it for what it is, it's very overwhelming. It's easy for me to say, oh, you should work out, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. But I say it with the idea of, it's not, oh, you should be working out, it's you should be taking care of yourself, just to be clear of what the message really is. Right? Because I can't, until I walk a mile in your shoes, I don't know that you have day out. What I do know basically are the benefits of just moving your body and the hormones that are released that make you feel good. So again, even if you do something as simple as taking a walk, you did something, you moved. So and once it starts, it really has a snowball effect. You walk and you're like, I feel good, or you're relaxed and you see the view. Like I always say, like you live in your neighborhood. Have you seen your neighborhood? Do you know this house is over here or that bridge is over there? You walk around available to you. Now's a good time to explore and discover where you live.
That's so funny that you said that, because we have taken a couple walks, and right? I told you we've taken a couple walks. But that was kind of the feeling. It was like, oh, I used to walk this path after I had my oldest daughter, right? And I lost 40 pounds after she was born. And, I was like, oh, I forgot this little bridge was here. Or, oh, and then we're talking and sparking dialogue. And then we're seeing birds that we don't normally see, and animals, and just enjoying nature. And you're absolutely right. It just puts you in a whole different mindset.
Yeah, because it feels good. You're spending quality time with your family. You're spending quality time with yourself. I just, again, I know. Until and we'll all have difficulties, and we all have our crosses to bear, including myself, and even me. I have to remind myself exactly of that, right? And make sure you get enough sleep to build your immune system. What can you do for your stress? Are you meditating? Are you talking to friends? Like you said, are you staying in touch with people? It's difficult not being in contact with other people too. In the mental health and the physical health, they go hand in hand. They work together. They really don't work without each other. So if you're not mentally prepared to work out, you're not going to work out. So I say start first. I'm like, go do a whole bunch of burpees and me, because you said it to me yourself. You're like, oh, I like to watch your videos, and I'm like, oh, well, should I make some change? You're like, no, don't change anything. Leave them. They inspire me, but I'm not doing them. But leave them.
Because you and your husband, y'all are special.
Well, that's how we met. Now, don't forget how we met.
I know.
Tech too. It goes both ways. Like it's all about your team.
Yeah.
You gotta have people around you, and you got to support one another, even when the other one doesn't do. The other one will come to you. Like he'll check on me. He'll be like, "So, are you working out today?" And I'm like, and I'm sitting on the couch, comfortable myself, like, "Oh, Okay, maybe I should get up.
But that's great.
So it's not easy. We all have our struggle, you know?
Yeah, I think this whole coronavirus and COVID situation has really also, Laura, I'm going to be honest with you, has been a real eye opener because we know a lot of people who have succumbed to this virus, and partly because of really avoidable underlying health conditions, right?
Right.
High blood pressure and diabetes, those things are totally um, manageable through diet and exercise, and just things that have disproportionately impacted some of the people that I know and love is, unfortunate because we just don't, we don't take care of ourselves like we should. So it's all been eye-opening.
I came across something a little bit ago, and the word discipline has so many negative connotations attached to it. But one thing I read was discipline, if you really think about it and what it means, it's really self-love.
Yeah.
If you really think about what it is, and
Yeah.
I think finding that sometimes and realizing that you're not a selfish or bad person for taking time to yourself. You're not a selfish or bad person because you need 5 minutes. Like, you know what? I need to take a beat. I need to schedule some time. And it really is 5 minutes is 5 minutes. 10 minutes can turn into 15. 15 can come into 20. It's just like anything else. Like sometimes you have to carve out the time for yourself, because the reality is, in order, I think, sometimes to give to other people, you have to be able to give to yourself, really. And especially in the way that you want to, because when you love people and you're caring for your loved ones, you want to give them the best of you. And I think it helps. So what I will ask you, a couple other things. The first thing is, if there was one thing that you would wish for during this period, this pandemic period, what's one thing that if you could change or you could have, or you could do, what would that be?
Um, for me personally, or just in general,
Whichever way you want to.
yeah. So for me personally, um, I just miss people. I just honestly miss human touch. I'm a hugger instinctively. So I miss hugs. The concept of physical distancing or social distancing, it is just not natural. It doesn't come natural for me. So if I could change one thing, that's what it would be, but that's not really something that I can change. I would think that if there was one thing that I could change that's really possible, would just be people really thinking and looking out for others. Like I said earlier, I do see so many people who are doing that, but then there are so many other examples of people who are very self-consumed. So I would just like to see the good in humanity continue to expand. I would like for us to, as human beings, listen better to one another, unplug more and be more engaged. We're doing things that we've never done before or that we haven't really found value in, like taking a ride and taking nature walks and things like that. So I would just think that we would come out of this pandemic and not go back to the way things were, but to maintain some of those special moments that we've identified throughout this season that we're in.
Okay. So aside from us more or less learning from this and hoping to pick up some new habits that will be beneficial to all, what's the first thing you're going to do when this is all over? Not that it's going to be a hard line of this is over, because it's here with us for a while now, but what's the first thing you can do or you're going to do when this ends?
Yeah. I don't know. I just want to hug somebody that I don't live with. I want to hug my church family, my friends. I want to get together for a birthday party. All of those things that we really so often take for granted. Again, I just want to develop. I want to come out of this as a better person. I saw someone post on Facebook, if you if you don't come out of this having established some stronger goals or having, really self-reflected, then all of this was for nothing. And so I've been reflecting a lot about, things that I struggle with. I'm really disciplined in certain areas, and you know me. So there's some areas that I do not compromise in, that I do not waver in. But then there are other things when it comes to exercise and just some other things for me personally that have been a challenge for me that I've really I'm trying to make an effort to change. So I want to come out of this just as a better person. I know that sounds really like generic, but I want to be a better version of me. And I want to be someone who, I want to take care of myself. I don't want to die a premature death. I don't want to be so afraid of the flu, because my body is not at its best or at its strongest point. So I don't know. Does that answer your question? I don't know.
I think it's more than question. I think we are out of time, but Sheri, thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you for sharing your story. And everyone, that's going to be it for me today until the next show. But I'm so grateful having had you here today, Sheri. And everyone else is lead with love. And if you need anything, the information is at the bottom of the screen there. You can always give me a call if you have questions. And again, I post my workouts for you guys. So whatever you need, I'm always here. Again, Sheri, thank you. And everyone, see you again. Laura Williamson, this is Bear Fitness. Have a great day.